Hi, I'm Jenny Ray, the Managing Director of Management Consultant, and today we're bringing you the final installment in our exciting series on case interviews. In particular, today we're talking about a case practice plan that will take you from where you are now, which is some information about case interviews, all the way to nailing the case interview in the actual setting. So what I'm going to talk about today are a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to talk about how you could practice poorly. Obviously, we're going to try to avoid this. Then I'm going to talk about how you can practice well. And finally, I'm going to lay out a key step-by-step plan that you can use to practice your case interviews. First of all, how can you practice poorly? Again, this is to avoid this, but there are a lot of people who fall into the trap of doing these two things. You can practice with weak partners. You can practice with your mom or your little brother, somebody who doesn't know anything about consulting, and they are a person or a body, but they may develop in you overconfidence and bad habits. So I would not recommend practicing with weak partners. A low-level basic qualification for a decent partner is somebody who understands the field of consulting, has watched a number of these videos, and knows what they're looking for in terms of evaluating you. The second thing that can be really damaging to your case practice is not practicing out loud. If you just read and read and read cases, you will have an overinflated sense of confidence in being able to solve them because you're really just reading how someone else solved them. The only way to effectively practice for case interviews is to do them on your own and to do them out loud with a partner. That being said, there are some key things that you need to keep in mind so that you can make sure that you're practicing well. First of all, you want to pick 3 to 5 great partners when you're practicing for case interviews. You don't want 20 partners. That's just going to create confusion. You don't want just one partner. You do want a little bit of variety because you don't want to bend yourself to one person's style only. But you don't want tons of partners. This 3 to 5 great partners will give you the variety that you need, but also the focus that you want to make sure that you're practicing effectively. The next thing that you make sure that you want to think about is practicing in simulated case environments. You don't want to practice with unlimited amounts of time. You don't want to be totally flexible with the amount of time that you're taking. And you don't want to practice in a way that is not out loud. So you don't want to practice where you're just writing or thinking through cases. You want to be practicing these cases out loud. Simulated case environments are incredibly critical. Third, it's really important to make sure that you review cases afterwards for best practice. You would not believe how many people I've talked to who come to me and they say, great, I've done 40 to 50 cases and I can't wait to try one on you. And I want to cry at the end of it because it's pretty clear that what they've done in those 40 to 50 cases is just ingrained bad habits. They started off with bad habits in case 1. They carry them all the way through. The way to avoid this is to review your case when you've finished it, identify what you could have done better, and even verbally out loud go through the way that you wish that you would have done it. This will ensure that you're making advances from case to case, and I have seen that people that do only 10 cases using this method can be further along than those who do 40 to 50 ingraining the bad habits. Finally, it's really important to make sure that you keep in mind that perfect practice makes perfect. So simulate the case environment, identify great partners, use strong cases, and really push and test yourself. Because if you do that, you won't just build confidence and then flop in the case interview because you're truly unprepared. You will really be prepared. The first thing that you should do when you're thinking about practicing for case interviews is to start with market sizing questions. Market sizing questions are excellent skill builders. They give you the ability to take a problem that is very open-ended and create structure out of it, to organize chaos effectively. You need to do 2 of these a day until you're comfortable. And I would recommend that you spend the first 10 days of your case interview practice just on market sizing questions. It is nearly impossible to get an offer at a top consulting firm and not be able to do a market sizing question. It's a key skill that every person who gets an offer has. So make sure that before you move on to more advanced cases that may be more fun to solve, that you've got the basic skills down. The next thing that you'll want to do are 10 harder, more complete cases that take 20 to 40 minutes to do, and you'll want to do each one of them twice, like I mentioned before. You want to make sure that you go through the case once in a simulated environment under time pressure with no aid from the interviewer. Then the second time around, you want to go back, review it, knowing what some of the answers are, and identify what the optimal responses would have been. After you've completed the 10 cases and done each of them twice, the next thing you want to do is get with a partner. And here you're unleashed. You can do as many cases as you want and need to until you feel totally ready for the case interview. Here are a couple of guidelines though. The first thing is that when you're selecting your partners, you make sure that you pick good partners. I already mentioned picking 3 to 5 partners, so the number we've covered. But here, when I'm talking about a good partner, I'm saying you want somebody who is constructively critical, who is able to be positive about what you do well, but very focused about what you need to do better. If somebody gets to the end of a case and says, you did a great job, they are not a good partner for you. At MC, we have excellent trained consultants, people who are in MBB. I myself do over 1,000 mock interviews a year to train people. And we have the ability to take everyone up to the next level. Even our own excellent peers, we can give critical advice to. So it's really important that you're picking people that are at your level and also people who are above your level to really stretch you. Which brings me to my final point. At the end of the day, in cases, what gets you are your weaknesses, not your strengths. And although we at MC generally believe in strengths-based leadership and focusing on what you're strong in and getting great at that, when you're a consultant, and especially when you're in the case interview, it's important not to let your weaknesses hinder you. So when you go through the process of practicing for case interviews, we would recommend that you keep a map of the interviews that you have trained on, that you cover multiple industries, multiple geographies, and multiple problem types, so that you make sure that you are getting the expert practice in to focus on what could potentially hinder you so that you are able to solve any problem that's thrown your way. So this brings us to the end of our series on case interviews. We hope that you've gotten a ton of fantastic information from these videos. There's always more, and we've got our case interview Bible, our consulting case bank, as well as tons of access to the best experts in the world at managementconsulted.com. So come check us out and make sure that you utilize our resources as you're practicing for case interviews.